Most people think their belly fat is caused by getting older, having a slow metabolism, or not having enough discipline with food. And honestly, that makes sense, because that's the message we've all been taught. Eat less, move more, push harder. But what if the real problem isn't your willpower at all? What if your body is doing exactly what it's been instructed to do? Store fat, and the instruction comes from one hormone, insulin. Insulin isn't bad, it's actually essential for life, but when it spikes too often, especially from the modern way we eat and snack, it quietly switches your body into fat storage mode. And once that switch gets stuck, it feels almost impossible to lose weight, no matter how disciplined you are. You might cut calories, you might try harder workouts, you might even give up foods you enjoy. But if insulin is still high, your body won't tap into stored fat. It simply won't, and that can feel incredibly frustrating. The good news is that this isn't your fault and it's not permanent. There's one simple daily habit, something surprisingly easy, that helps bring insulin back down so your body can burn fat again. Most doctors never talk about this, even though it can make weight loss feel quicker, easier, and more natural. When insulin calms down, cravings settle, energy rises, and your metabolism finally turns back on. It's like flipping your body from store fat mode to burn fat mode. In this video, we're going to break that down step by step, and as we go through this together, I want you to feel hopeful, not pressured. You're not broken, your body just needs the right signal. Before we dive in, let me know in the comments. What's the most confusing thing you've heard about insulin and weight loss? A lot of people come to weight loss feeling frustrated, confused, and even a little defeated. They'll say things like, "I've tried cutting calories," or "I've been doing cardio every day," or "I'm eating healthier than ever, so why won't my belly fat move?" And this is where I want to slow everything down, take a deep breath with you, and look at what's actually happening inside the body. Because the real problem often isn't effort, it's not age, it's not metabolism. It's a hormone system that's been overwhelmed for years, and that hormone is insulin. Insulin is like your body's traffic director. When you eat something that raises your blood sugar, like bread, rice, sweets, processed snacks, or even frequent grazing, insulin comes out to move that sugar into your cells. That part is good and necessary. But insulin has another job that people don't always realize. It tells your body whether to store fat or burn fat. You can think of it as a switch with two positions. When insulin is high, the switch flips to store. When insulin is low, the switch flips to burn. And your body can only be in one mode at a time. Imagine your fat cells as little storage lockers. Insulin is the key that opens the door to put more energy inside. But when insulin stays high for too long, because of constant snacking, sugary foods, refined carbs, or stress hormones, it's like those storage lockers get locked. From the inside, you keep pushing to burn fat, you keep trying to open the door through dieting or exercise, but insulin is still holding the lock shut. This is why so many people feel like their body is fighting them. It actually is, but not because it wants to, because it's following the chemical instructions that insulin is giving. One of the biggest misunderstandings is the idea that weight loss is simply calories in, calories out. The truth is more like this. Calories decide how much energy enters the body, but hormones decide what the body does with that energy. If insulin stays elevated, even slightly, it doesn't matter how much you exercise or restrict calories. Your body cannot access stored fat efficiently. It will burn the food you're eating, but not the fat you want to lose. And that creates this cycle of low energy, intense cravings, and stubborn belly fat that just doesn't budge. Another way to imagine this is like a car with two fuel tanks. One small tank, the food you just ate, and one huge tank, your stored fat. When insulin is high, your body only uses that tiny tank, and once it runs out, you feel hungry, tired, and foggy, so you eat again. You refill the small tank, but the big tank stays sealed. Insulin is the seal. This is why many people feel hungry even when they're eating enough. Their body isn't accessing the large storage tank. It's locked away, and this is also why belly fat in particular becomes so stubborn. Belly fat is more sensitive to insulin than fat in other areas. When insulin spikes, the body tends to store fat around the midsection first and release it last. Now, here's the hopeful part. Once you calm insulin down, the body becomes incredibly efficient at burning fat again. Cravings reduce because your body finally has access to that large tank of stored energy. Your energy becomes more stable. You stop feeling the need to snack constantly, and your metabolism can finally shift back into a balanced rhythm. It's not about starving yourself. It's about restoring the normal, natural function of the fat burning switch. This is why the #1 insulin balancing hack we'll talk about later is so powerful. It gives your body a daily moment of calm, almost like telling your metabolism, hey, it's safe to switch out of storage mode now. And once the body learns to do that again, fat loss becomes less of a battle and more of a steady release. So if you've ever felt like your belly fat is stuck, like no matter what you try it just won't move, it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It means your system has been overwhelmed for a long time. And once we address insulin gently and consistently, everything starts to shift in a way that feels doable, sustainable, and honestly relieving. When people first hear that one simple daily habit can lower insulin and speed up belly fat loss, it almost sounds too good to be true. And I get that. Most of the weight loss world is full of complicated plans, strict rules, and overwhelming information. But what makes this insulin balancing hack so powerful isn't magic, it's biology. It works because it gently shifts the internal environment your body operates in. Instead of forcing weight loss through restriction or exhaustion, it creates the conditions where fat burning becomes the natural default again. To understand why this hack works, it helps to imagine your body like a home that runs on electricity. When insulin is high, it's like all the lights, appliances, and machines are on at once. Everything is overstimulated and running too fast. The body keeps burning through quick sources of fuel and looking for more. Cravings go up, energy goes down, and things start breaking down over time. This hack essentially turns off the unnecessary switches. It allows the house to slow down, reset, and function the way it was designed to. Inside your body, the first thing the habit does is lower your insulin levels in a gentle, predictable way. Insulin responds to spikes in blood sugar, and blood sugar spikes happen when the body gets hit with fast, ingesting carbs or frequent snacking. By reducing those spikes, you allow insulin to drop into a calmer range. And when insulin stays lower for even a short period of time, your body finally gets a chance to access stored fat again. It's like unlocking a door that's been stuck for years. Another important shift is stabilization. When insulin and blood sugar rise and crash throughout the day, your brain feels those swings as hunger, irritability, anxiety, and intense cravings. Many people think they lack willpower, when in reality, their hormones are pulling them into a cycle they can't fight with logic. This hack creates a smoother rhythm. Instead of sharp mountains and valleys, your blood sugar curve becomes more like small rolling hills. And with that stability, cravings calm down almost automatically. You're not fighting the urge to eat. You simply don't feel the constant pressure to grab something sugary or snacky. What surprises a lot of people is that this hack also helps reactivate the hormones that work alongside insulin, like glucagon and leptin. Glucagon is the hormone that tells your body to release stored fat for fuel, but it can only work when insulin is low. When insulin is high all the time, glucagon can't do its job. It's like a teammate who's been benched for years. By leveling insulin, glucagon finally gets to stand up and say, okay, I can help now. And then there's leptin, your fullness signal. When blood sugar is constantly spiking, leptin gets confused and you stop feeling properly satisfied after meals. This hack helps bring leptin back into balance, so you naturally feel full sooner and stay full longer. Again, it's not about forcing yourself to eat less. It's about helping the body regain its natural ability to detect hunger and fullness. One of the most misunderstood parts of weight loss is energy. Many people think losing fat should give them more energy, but in reality, high insulin blocks access to stored energy. That's why people feel exhausted even when they're eating enough. Their body is locked out of the big tank. This hack reopens that tank. When the body can finally tap into stored fat, energy becomes more steady. Instead of crashes, you get a slow, steady burn, like switching from paper kindling to a log that lasts all day. This is also why this habit often outperforms intense workouts and strict diets. Exercise is great for health, but if insulin is high, the body still won't release much fat. An extreme calorie restriction just increases stress hormones, which can push insulin even higher. But when insulin is lowered gently, fat burning becomes easier. Weight loss feels less like pushing a boulder uphill and more like rolling it along a smooth path. So the power of this hack isn't that it forces your body to burn fat. It's that it gives your system the space and signals it needs to return to its natural fat burning rhythm, lower insulin, smoother blood sugar, fewer cravings, rebalanced hormones, more stable energy, and a body that finally feels like it's working with you instead of against you. A lot of people try to balance their insulin by eating healthier of foods or cutting back on snacks, but they still end up stuck with stubborn belly fat, low energy, and cravings. And it's not because they're doing anything wrong. It's because insulin is influenced by far more than just what you eat. There are hidden triggers built into everyday routines, things most people don't even think about, that quietly push insulin higher and higher throughout the day. And when insulin is elevated too often, the body gets stuck in fat storage mode, even if you're not overeating. One of the biggest hidden triggers is grazing. Many people snack without realizing it. A handful of chips while cooking, a sweetened tea in the afternoon, a biscuit with tea, or constantly sipping on sugary drinks. Even small bites can spike insulin. It's like tapping the accelerator on a car. The engine revs even if you're barely moving. The body interprets each little hit of carbs or sugar as a call for insulin. And when this happens repeatedly, you never give insulin a chance to calm down. Another trigger is healthy foods that aren't actually blood sugar friendly. Fruit juices, protein bars, low-fat yogurt, breakfast cereals, and even whole grain breads can cause big spikes. They digest quickly, so the body sees them almost like sugar. People often feel frustrated because they're choosing foods marketed as healthy, yet their insulin stays high all day. Stress is another powerful trigger. When you're running late, overwhelmed at work, worried about finances, or juggling too many responsibilities, your cortisol shoots up. Cortisol tells your liver to release stored sugar into the bloodstream, and insulin rises in response. So you might have a day when you barely eat, yet you still feel cravings and low energy because stress alone keeps insulin elevated, and then there's sleep. Poor sleep, late nights, or inconsistent sleep patterns make your body more insulin resistant the very next day. This means the same foods suddenly create bigger insulin spikes, and your appetite hormones get confused. Cravings intensify. You feel hungrier, even if you didn't do anything differently. Caffeine on an empty stomach, fast food meals, skipping protein, emotional eating, and even constantly thinking about food can subtly trigger insulin responses as well. These tiny everyday factors compound. It's like having dozens of little drips filling up a bucket. Eventually, the bucket overflows, and that overflow is chronic high insulin. Now here's where the #1 insulin balancing hack becomes incredibly helpful. This hack works like a buffer, something that protects your system from the constant spikes. When you practice it daily, it gives insulin predictable periods of rest, even if life gets busy, even if you have a stressful day. even if you ate something that wasn't ideal. Inside the body, this hack creates a small but powerful window where insulin drops low enough for fat, burning hormones to activate. And when you repeat that consistently, your body builds a stronger rhythm. Instead of reacting wildly to every snack, every stress moment, or every sugary food, your blood sugar becomes more stable, your cravings become less urgent, and your body becomes more sensitive to insulin again, meaning it needs less insulin to do the same job. That's a huge win because the lower the insulin required, the easier it is for your body to shift into fat burning mode. Think of insulin as a volume knob. Many people are living with the volume turned all the way up, blasted with signals all day long. This hack gently turns the volume down each day, and when the volume is lowered, other things fall into place. Your energy rises because your body can finally tap into stored fat. Your hunger levels become calmer. Emotional eating feels less intense, and fat stored around the belly, the area most sensitive to insulin, finally starts to release. This is why the hack works even during stressful or chaotic days. It doesn't require perfection. It doesn't require starving yourself, and it doesn't require complicated routines. It simply creates a protective layer between you and the hidden triggers that used to overwhelm your system. You're not trying to eliminate every spike or every stressor. That would be unrealistic. Instead, you're giving your body a consistent daily reset, one that naturally lowers insulin, helps stabilize your metabolism, and supports real, sustainable fat loss. And when people finally understand these hidden triggers, something shifts inside them. They stop blaming themselves for lack of discipline. They start realizing their body has been overwhelmed, not broken. And this hack becomes not just a strategy, but a way to finally feel in control again. When people hear about an insulin-balancing habit that can unlock easier belly fat loss, they often get excited but also a little overwhelmed. They want to know exactly what to do, how often to do it, and how to fit it into real life. And the truth is, this habit works best when it's simple. It isn't about perfection or hard rules. It's about giving your body a predictable rhythm that helps insulin calm down so your metabolism can shift out of storage mode and back into fat burning mode. So let's walk through how to apply this step by step, in the gentle, steady way your body responds best to. The first part of this habit is creating a window of time each day where you're not constantly stimulating insulin. This doesn't mean extreme fasting or long periods of going hungry. It's more about giving your body a break from constant snacking. Most people don't realize how often they take small bites of food throughout the day. Even a tiny amount of carbohydrate triggers an insulin response. By choosing a clear window when you eat and a clear window when you don't, your body gets the signal it needs to lower insulin naturally. A simple way to start is to pick an eating window that feels gentle, something like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. It doesn't have to be perfect, and you don't have to follow the same times every day. The goal is to allow at least a few hours where you're not eating, so insulin has a chance to drop. If that feels intimidating, begin smaller, even spacing your meals. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner with no snacks in between creates a natural insulin break. This alone helps stabilize cravings and makes the body more responsive to fat burning signals. Within your eating window, try to include meals with protein, fiber, and something that digests slowly. You're not avoiding carbs completely, you're simply pairing them with foods that keep blood sugar from spiking. When blood sugar rises slowly, insulin rises gently too. Think of it like easing your foot onto the gas pedal instead of slamming it down. Smaller rises in insulin mean the body can return to fat burning mode much sooner. Another part of the hack is adding one intentional pause during the day, a moment where you give your body space to reset. This could be a few hours in the morning before you eat, or a few hours after your last meal. During this time, your job isn't to starve yourself. Your job is to give your system quiet, calm, a moment where insulin can settle. Many people notice that during this pause, their hunger actually fades instead of intensifying, because their body begins tapping into stored energy again. Hydration also supports this process. Water, herbal tea, black coffee, and mineral water are gentle on insulin. They help your body stay steady and reduce cravings that come from dehydration or habit-based snacking. If you prefer warm drinks in the morning, that's perfectly fine. The key is avoiding sugary beverages during your insulin rest window. Another small but powerful step is to include a bit of light movement after meals. You don't need to do a full workout. Even a 10-minute walk helps your muscles absorb some of the glucose from your meal, which means your body needs less insulin to handle it. Less insulin after meals means your body can return to fat burning mode sooner. Many people find this easier than expected because it fits naturally into their day. Walking the dog, pacing around the house, or taking a stroll outside. The most important thing in all of this is consistency. Your body thrives on rhythm. You don't need to hit the perfect window or eat flawlessly. You just need to gently guide your body into a predictable pattern. Over time, insulin naturally becomes more stable. Your cravings begin to soften. Your energy becomes more even, and the stubborn belly fat that never seemed to move finally starts to respond. What makes this hack sustainable is its flexibility. If you have a busy day, stressful events, social meals, or unpredictable schedules, you can always return to your rhythm the next day. There's no punishment, no guilt, just a system that becomes easier and more intuitive as your body adjusts. This step-by-step approach isn't about restricting yourself. It's about teaching your body to feel safe again, stable again, and balanced again. And when insulin receives those calmer signals, your metabolism follows. When you begin practicing this insulin balancing habit, the first thing you might notice isn't a dramatic change in weight. That can take a little time, and it's important to remember that the process is gradual. What tends to shift first are the subtle signals your body gives when it's starting to move out of fat storage mode. These early signs are reassuring, and they show that your hormones are beginning to work in your favor, even if the scale hasn't moved much yet. One of the earliest changes people often notice is steadier energy throughout the day. Instead of those peaks and crashes that make mid, morning, or mid-after, noon feel unbearable, you start feeling more balanced. You might wake up without that heavy fog, get through your morning without needing multiple cups of coffee, and finish the day without that desperate urge for sugary snacks. Your body is starting to tap into stored energy, which is more consistent and reliable than constantly relying on food for fuel. Cravings also begin to soften. When insulin is constantly spiking, it drives intense urges for quick carbs, sweets, or snacks. These cravings aren't a lack of willpower. They're a signal that your body is stuck in fat storage mode. As insulin begins to stabilize, you may notice that those cravings become less urgent or intense. You might find yourself naturally satisfied after a meal instead of reaching for something extra an hour later. This shift is a direct sign that your appetite-regulating hormones are starting to rebalance. Another common change is reduced bloating. High insulin can cause the body to hold onto extra water and create feelings of puffiness or heaviness around the abdomen. As insulin lowers and your body learns to regulate itself better, water retention decreases, digestion feels smoother, and your stomach begins to feel lighter. This can make clothing feel more comfortable and can be an encouraging early indicator of fat burning starting to happen even before noticeable weight loss occurs. Mood also tends to become more stable. Blood sugar swings can affect neurotransmitters in the brain, leading to irritability, anxiety, or low motivation. When insulin stabilizes, those mood swings often lessen. You may notice you're less reactive to stress, more patient, and more focused throughout the day. Feeling emotionally balanced can be just as rewarding as seeing changes on the scale because it indicates your internal systems are working more harmoniously. Appetite patterns shift as well. Many people report that they no longer feel the need to graze constantly or eat out of habit. Instead, hunger comes at predictable times and is easier to manage. You may notice that you can go a few hours without food comfortably, which is a sign your body is successfully accessing stored energy rather than relying solely on incoming calories. Belly fat may begin to soften and reduce subtly. Because abdominal fat is highly sensitive to insulin, it's often the last to release, but the first to signal when insulin is finally giving your body permission to burn stored energy. Even small changes, like clothing feeling a little looser around the waist or noticing a slight reduction in bloating, are encouraging signs that fat burning is activating. Some people also notice improvements in sleep. As insulin stabilizes and blood sugar no longer spikes and crashes late in the evening, it becomes easier to fall asleep and stay asleep. Better sleep feeds back into hormone balance, which further supports fat loss, energy levels, and mood stability. All of these shifts, steadier energy, reduced cravings, calmer appetite, less bloating, more stable mood, and subtle changes in belly fat are signs that your body is responding to the insulin balancing habit. They may happen gradually and sometimes subtly, but they are reliable indicators that your metabolism is starting to operate more efficiently. Understanding these early signals helps you stay motivated and patient. You're not just waiting for weight loss, you're witnessing your body retraining itself, learning to burn fat again, and restoring its natural rhythm. These signs are proof that the foundation you're building is solid, sustainable, and genuinely effective. Once you've learned the insulin balancing habit and begun noticing early changes in energy, cravings, and mood, the next step is integrating it into a daily routine that supports long-term fat loss. The key here is simplicity. You don't need complicated schedules, restrictive diets, or intense workouts to succeed. What matters most is consistency, predictability, and small adjustments that your body can sustain day after day. By building a gentle rhythm around the hack, you can support insulin balance, keep cravings manageable, and allow your metabolism to operate efficiently. Start with meal timing because creating a predictable eating window is the foundation of the routine. Choose a window that fits naturally with your lifestyle, whether that's 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., or simply 3 meals spaced evenly without snacking in between. The goal is to give your body several hours where insulin can lower, allowing fat-burning hormones to activate. Within this window, aim for meals that combine protein, fiber, healthy fats, and slowed, digesting carbs. This combination slows the rise in blood sugar, reduces insulin spikes, and keeps you feeling satisfied longer. Over time, this simple approach teaches your body a new rhythm, helping cravings and hunger signals stabilize naturally. Movement is another pillar of a sustainable routine, but it doesn't need to be extreme. Light activity, especially after meals, supports blood sugar regulation and helps your muscles absorb glucose more efficiently. Short walks, gentle stretching, or even household movement for 10 to 20 minutes is enough to make a difference. The goal isn't to exhaust yourself, it's to encourage gentle circulation and energy use, reinforcing the natural signals that insulin is lowering and fat burning is activating. Stress management is equally important because chronic stress can trigger insulin spikes even if your diet is perfect. Simple, achievable practices like deep breathing for a few minutes, journaling, a short meditation, or a brief walk outside can reduce cortisol and help your body maintain lower insulin levels. These small, intentional pauses act as reset points during your day, giving your system space to recalibrate and function more efficiently. Hydration supports both energy and metabolic balance. Water, herbal teas, and black coffee are safe choices that do not provoke insulin. Keeping a bottle nearby and sipping throughout the day can reduce the tendency to snack out of habit or mild dehydration, which often masquerades as hunger. Planning meals and snacks ahead of time makes this routine easier to follow without stress. Having prepared options ensures you can stick to your eating window and maintain steady blood sugar, even on busy days. This doesn't mean perfection, it simply means creating a structure that works for your real life. Over time, your body will learn the pattern, and hunger cues will align with your natural rhythm rather than external triggers. Sleep also plays a critical role in supporting insulin balance. Consistent, adequate sleep helps regulate hormones that control hunger, appetite, and energy. Aim for a routine that allows your body to rest fully each night. Even small adjustments, like dimming lights before bed or keeping a regular sleep schedule, can make a meaningful difference over time. Another tip is to treat this routine as flexible rather than rigid. Life will throw unexpected events, social gatherings, or stressors your way, and that's okay. The power of this approach is in returning to the rhythm consistently, not punishing yourself for deviations. Your body thrives on gentle predictability, not perfection. As this routine becomes a habit, you'll likely notice that cravings diminish, energy levels stabilize, belly fat begins to respond, and your mood feels calmer. By integrating meal timing, balanced food choices, light movement, stress, soothing practices, hydration, and adequate sleep, you're creating an environment where insulin stays balanced naturally and fat burning becomes the default mode. Over time, this simple daily routine becomes second nature. It doesn't feel like a diet or a strict program. It feels like a lifestyle that supports your body, respects your energy, and allows sustainable fat loss without extreme measures. Consistency is your ally, and by following these gentle steps, you give your body the best opportunity to function optimally, feel balanced, and finally release the stubborn belly fat that has been holding you back.